Honesty time here. Has a New Year's resolution that you've made ever actually stuck?
I can't really think of one.
I can't either. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Better Basics podcast. I am Matt Stone, and as always, I've got my good buddy Dylan Waldheater. Dylan, what's happening today, man?
Not a ton, man. This sunset's setting really nice on my face here.
It's a really nice. It's the golden hour for you.
Going on.
It's
And my
really,
mustache that I have now.
it's glorious. Oh yeah, people are probably going to be a little caught back by that. If you've been watching along, Dylan has a mustache all of a sudden. To kind of step behind the curtain for a minute here, we have recorded a lot of these episodes previously, but we wanted to record this one special because it's about a topic that is really important to you and I, and something that we thought was extra pertinent to release quickly. So we're here to talk about what happens when your New Year's resolution fails.
Yeah, and it happens all the time. It's happened to me. Most of the time I set a resolution, I fail at it for one reason or another. So I think we want to talk about why that happens, why it's happened to me, why it's happened to you, why it happens to people we know, and maybe discuss some strategies to ensure that people are more successful in meeting whatever they set out to achieve at the turn of the new year.
Okay, so honesty time here. Has a New Year's resolution that you've made ever actually stuck?
I can't really think of one.
I can't either. I'm not a huge resolution guy. Sometimes I usually just like to pick something fun that I want to, that I want to do that year. But all of the big changes that I've made have all seeming they haven't been. It's not a New Year's thing. It's one of those things where you are forced to change or just finally like reach that tipping point. And that is when the change actually happens. But new year, new us, people like to make changes around the new year because I guess it's a convenient time to become, the quote unquote best version of yourself.
There's an advantage in like this arbitrary date inspiring us into action. But I think the advantage also comes with some downside in that people identify with this date that's coming in this turn of the new year, and it spurs this motivation. And then they set some usually pretty vague kind of outcome-based goal, call it a resolution, and then 3 weeks later find themselves off the boat.
Right.
And I think there's even like, is it like the 19-day rule? Or there's a fitness like study on how long people who set like workout related resolutions actually stick to that and then fall off from it. And it's a short period of time.
I would say 19 days seems long. If I'm
It
not,
is.
I'm not familiar with that one, but if I just had to guess, most people are probably failing in 10 days or less.
Yeah.
And that's because, and we're touching on a lot of stuff. So why don't we? A lot of stuff I want to go back and talk about, but let's start with our resolutions. I know that you made a really nice. I loved your resolution this year. Will you share with us?
Yeah, my resolution was about finding stillness. I had a kid at the end of last year, little boy, and anybody who has a kid knows that that can be stressful. And finding time for myself to just be still has always been a challenge for me, even in advance of having a son. I was constantly distracting myself. Like it would be difficult to sit on the couch and not be scrolling through my phone or watching a TV show or taking notes about things that I needed to be doing later on or the next day. And in thinking about the things that I want to model for my son as he grows up, being on my phone all the time is not one of those things. So the goal, right, the resolution itself was to find more stillness. The way that I'm doing that in practice is by sitting down every morning when I'm able, with a cup of coffee, with my phone in the other room, with no book, with no journal, with nothing but my thoughts, and just sitting there drinking my coffee and being as still as I can.
Man, that is a really sweet goal. Great resolution. Very mindful, something that is going to propel you into just a better life moving forward. Mine is I want to bench 315 this year. I think that would be sweet. Um, no real, no real reason, but besides, at the end of last year, I realized, in the gym when you're a youngster, that 135, like that one
Yeah.
plate on each side, like is such a it's such a huge number. It's for in any exercise, doesn't matter what. And that first time that you get it, usually in a deadlift or squat, you're like, hell yeah, one plate on each side. Then then it's two. And I like to lift heavy, in certain periods throughout the year. And man, I just saw the bench. It was looking good to me that day, and I just thought just once, I'd like to bench 315, and then I never have to worry about it again for the rest of my life.
On the day you do it, I want you to wear one of those tank tops where your nipples stick out.
Yeah, that's
Can you
perfect.
do that?
I can definitely do that, and the shortest shorts that money can buy.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm in. So what I've done for that one is I just put by the end of this year. So just by December 31st, 2024, I will bench 315. I'm at about like between 275, 285 now. So like it's realistic. But I want to do it without changing much of my programming. I don't want like to turn into a major, like bench press is the focus of all my lifts. So I want to see, that's kind of the challenge to it, is can I do it without making massive changes to my program. So
So if you
but
get if you get 6 months down the road and you aren't seeing the progress you want, are you willing to make the modifications to your program to get there?
I mean, I guess we'll see how strong of a motivation it is. Right now, yeah, I love it. I love the idea of it.
Yeah.
But the the thing is that in 6 months from now, I might decide that mobility is actually more important.
Mm.
Now, the problem, the problem with that is then if you're just constantly drifting from one goal to another, it becomes really hard to get great at anything. You can get okay and dip your toes in a lot of different pools, but I guess that's probably like the first thing to start with is set a real specific goal. Um, and because if it's vague, then it's not going to get you anywhere.
Yeah. Like my goal, finding stillness, is it's quite vague, right? It's very like, this is the outcome that I'm attempting to achieve. I think where many people slip up, where I slipped up quite a bit when I'd set a resolution, is I'd say something like, I want to find more stillness, or I want to lose weight, or I want to put on some muscle. But without defining the daily actions and habits that you're going to build to help yourself get there, it's really easy to fall off that boat. And so what I did for my stillness example is I defined an action I can do every day. I'm going to sit down with my coffee. I'm going to drink it every morning. It might be 15, 20 minutes, but I'm going to try my absolute hardest to remove all distractions. And I think by emphasizing those daily things you can do to achieve your ultimate resolution, you'll have a lot more success.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, right. So the ultimate outcome is stillness, but the daily habit is sitting down to that cup of coffee. That's the thing that you can measure.
Yeah.
Because if it can't be measured, then the chances of you accomplishing it are slim to none.
Yeah, you bet.
So another thing that tends to happen to people is, you kind of you put my feet to the fire a little bit. If in 6 months you don't you're not making the progress that you thought you would, are you going to be able to stick with it? And understanding that anything worth changing about yourself, any big resolution that you had, I mean, it should be something that you are willing to, dig your heels in and wait, even if those results are coming a little bit slower than you have it in your head.
Yeah, and this is super important if your goals are health and or fitness related, right? Like these things just take time. And unfortunately, the media culture, the social media environment, the influencer world, it leads us to believe that we're supposed to look a certain way, and that we're supposed to achieve it very quickly through some guy's program, diet, pill, etc. And the reality of health, fitness, nutrition is that it's really just small, daily, incremental improvements over a long period of time that will get you where you want to go. But that means that you may not see the scale move a ton every day, or you may not see the muscles on your body in the mirror that you want to see 1 week later. But it's really important to instead align your expectations and to reward yourself for those daily kind of wins that you can get, so that if 3 months later, 6 months later, 9 months later, you might ultimately see what it is that you're after. But how
Yeah,
do you reward yourself in the interim?
and understand. Well, you said a couple really, really good things. One, just in general, because a lot of people do use the scale. Weight loss is going to be one of their goals.
Mhm.
So first off, it's worth saying that weight loss as a goal is a tough one to begin with,
Yeah.
because losing weight and losing fat are two different things. And we will do plenty of deeper dives into exactly what that means. But just understand, when you say, I want to lose 25 pounds, or I want to be 175, what you're really saying is, when I was 175 I felt really good, or in my mind, if I weigh 175 pounds I look like this and I feel like this. So it's the body recomposition, and that's more important than the numbers on the scale. But let's just say that weight loss is something that is important to you, and it's a good thing to keep track of. If you are measuring yourself on a daily basis and judging your success off of 1 day's weight, then it's going to be a hell of a year, because there are going to be so many ups and downs. And so you know it's okay to track that information on a daily basis, but zooming out when we're analyzing it and making sure that you're looking more for, where are things trending, not where are they at today as compared to yesterday.
Yeah. And if I was giving somebody with a weight loss goal advice and they had a year to achieve it, I'd tell them for the first 90 days to throw the scale away altogether. Cause like let's align that ultimate resolution or goal of weight loss with things that are much more objective, right? How am I going to do that? I'm going to walk 7,500 steps a day. I'm going to wear a Fitbit and I'm going to ensure that while an imperfect kind of way to measure, it does give you some gauge of activity. I'm going to try to get to that 7,500 mark. I'm going to go to the gym 1 day a week and I'm going to ensure that I have more vegetables on my plate than I did previously. And you can be more specific around that too. Then every week or every day, you can say, I got my steps in. That's a win. This week, I got to the gym that 1 day a week. That's a win. I ate a ton more vegetables than I did before. That's a win. And now you start to reward yourself for these things that are objective and much better aligned with the ultimate goal. 3 months later, pull that scale out and you will see what it is that you were ultimately after without having the roller coaster of a little bit more water weight one day, or you ate a few more carbs, so you're holding a bit more water, or whatever it is. You're right, it's the trend, and the trends take time. You could be like this, but over time, right? Like that trend is going in the right direction. So weight's a tough one. Yeah.
Well, and one more thing about weight. If you are going to do yourself a favor, weigh yourself at the same time every day and make it in the morning after your first BM. It's going to be the lightest that you are all day. We
Take a
are,
poop.
yeah. Once you poop, get a little water in you, get that maybe that first cup of coffee in you to get some things moving around, and then step on the scale. Don't be that self-hating jackass that comes home from the bar and eats pizza and then all of a sudden like feels their belly, just a little bit, rolling over a little bit more than normal, and then decides it's the time they're going to make all their changes and they go and weigh themselves then. Like
Yeah.
it's such a disrespectful thing to do to yourself because our body weights fluctuate, throughout the day. So if you are going to track your weight, just do it in the morning, do it after you poop, and just be consistent with that.
You got you got this outcome, right? This resolution. Important to define the small daily habits you can take to achieve that. Then also understanding that like slow results are the best results. Like it's the things that you sacrifice for and put your, the consistency into that pay you later on that are much more rewarding than some of these shorter term outcomes that can be challenging, may or may not come, etc. So aligning your expectations with what those daily actions are going to get you is really important as well.
Yeah, and I also
But
think well, and the last thing I want to say, kind of going along with that, is the tracking is important. Making sure that you are have your habit tracker and the things that you either want to be doing or not want to be doing. Make sure on a daily basis you are saying, did I have my cup of coffee this morning? Did I have my stillness moment this morning?
yeah,
Did I get those steps in? Because it's going to be a lot easier to develop the habit if you see the trend, and it's also going to give you another thing to hang your hat on. That's another victory when you see those consecutive days. Jerry Seinfeld had a great bit, or not, it's not a bit, it's how he wrote, where he would put a blue dot on his calendar every day that he sat down and wrote material. That was how he tracked. He had his calendar every day that he worked on it. And he said, it wasn't, that didn't mean an hour. He's just working, making sure that he was working on his material, and he would be able to just see it every single day, how successful he was that month. And if you are, if you're not feeling a certain way, if you're not feeling great about yourself in certain areas, I would challenge you to look at the things that are going to make that area better and see if you're doing those things. Because more often than not, we are the sum of our actions. So
mm,
if you're not constantly keeping track of those actions, it becomes really hard to make real change.
yeah, and our actions cascade, and the actions we take inform other actions that we take. And it's really, man, it's really hard when you're in a rut to like get out of that rut. It's so difficult. And I think sometimes it's because the expectation that you give yourself is that you have to get out of the rut. But like that can be a lot to accomplish. The way that I like to achieve that is just to identify a small thing that I can do every day. And by doing one small thing every day, it might inspire me to do a little bit more the next day. And those
Mm.
things will cascade and ultimately build up. So these resolutions and these things you're going to do every day, they don't need to be big, grandiose, dramatic, over the top. Start implementing some good habits towards that thing you want to achieve and watch how that cascades into something really special over the course of a whole year.
I think the smaller the better. I
Yeah.
think the smaller goals that you can make, the better, and just make a bunch of small goals that get you going in the direction that you want to go. And then, you know, those goals, accomplishing stuff builds confidence, and it gets you a little bit of pep in your step, and it helps you get your swagger back. I mean, that's like, it's nothing better when you're in a rut than to just have a couple little victories and see
Mhm.
what that does for you. But, and that, if you don't believe it, if you don't believe that you're going to be that person, that you are a person who runs, or a person who goes to the gym once a week, or a person who uh, you know eats vegetables with every meal, whatever your little thing is, if you don't believe that you're that person, then it's not going to stick around. That habit is not going to stick because you don't believe that you're actually capable of it.
Yeah. Any behavior that you're attempting to implement into your life that's incongruent with who you believe yourself to be is not going to last, right? If you want to lose weight because you believe that you're a fat fuck, and you hate yourself for it, it's going to be a lot harder to implement things, positive daily habits into your life to help you achieve that weight loss. So if you want to lose weight because your identity is that you're a fat person, it's probably a losing game. It's hard to change your habits in those cases. Instead, you could make your identity much more about your, belief in yourself and how those things align with your habits. I'm a person who takes a walk every day because I know it's good for me. It's good for my health and I love myself. Or I prioritize protein and I try to eat fruit and vegetables every day because I know that they're good for me and I'm a healthy person and I care about myself. That's a much better place to approach weight loss from than, I'm fat and it's bad and I need to fix it.
Yeah, and along with that, those beliefs, not only are they going to shape your habits, but they also are going to shape our environments too. And that's another really important thing when it comes to accomplishing and sticking to these resolutions. If you live in a house that has ice cream in it, more often than not,
You can eat
you're
the ice.
going to eat ice cream.
Yeah.
And you would be an idiot not to. Or you're super disciplined. But if we're just being honest, discipline, especially around ice cream, chips,
Yeah.
any of those hyper palatable foods, it's going to be it's a hard battle to win. They were designed for us to lose. So, you have to make sure that you're looking at your environment as well. Okay, so now I'm somebody that could go for a run. Okay, well, look around. Do you have a treadmill at home? Not that you have to go buy a treadmill. Do you have a pair of running shoes? You
Hmm.
know, and from there you can start to figure out, okay, is my environment setting me up to succeed or fail? And that is so important.
Yeah, it's you'll really start to I think tune in better to your actual hunger signals too if you start to get the Cheetos and the ice cream out of the house. Like if your only option's an apple or a carrot, you might not find yourself
Not hungry.
look looking to grab a snack as frequently as you do when these like things that are like, drug quality foods that are just calling to you all the time are just readily available in your pantry. So if you want to eat a little better and the next time you're in the store, bag of carrots instead of bag of Cheetos, and now you've set yourself up for success at home, right? And then
Absolutely.
if you really want some Cheetos, because I'm not here to say you can't ever have Cheetos, but you got to get in the car and you got to run to the store to get it, right? It's not like just readily available for you to grab and eat.
Yeah, and it's a single serving.
Yeah,
Like it's gone today. You're not buying the two of the family size bags
right.
or six different kinds of breakfast cereal. Um, you know,
Yeah.
but
Uh,
it's it's one of those things that it's going to happen, right? Like there are going to be bad days.
of
There's going to
course.
be bad days, and shoot, there may even be a bad week. But you got 52 of them in a year. So it's very important. You gotta make the majority of them, it's that 80-20, right? Make 80% of them good ones. And so understanding that bad days are going to happen, bad weeks are even going to happen, but like no bad months, make sure. And that's where the tracking comes into play. That's where all of these things, they're going to help you. You're going to end up, I've heard it put this way, you're going to fall to the level of your systems. So
Yeah.
if the systems surrounding you are there to make your health better, then that's what's going to happen. But if your systems are set up for you to fail, then it's going to become a heck of a lot easier too.
Yeah, and if it, it even ties into the beliefs about yourself thing, right? Like if you believe yourself to be a healthy person, then if you have a few bad healthy days, but still believe you're a healthy person, it's going to be easier to go back to those good habits that you're trying to implement in your life. Whereas if you think you're an unhealthy, overweight person, you have a bad day or two, you've fallen back into that old habit and you still have that belief about yourself. Well, now I'm off the wagon altogether. For me, anytime, and I guess this has been most of my life, I'd set a resolution and this is how I would fall off. It would be a bad day that led to a bad week that led to falling off the wagon altogether. So I think you're right. These habitualizing these things, tracking them, feeling good about yourself, getting into some rhythms, ensuring that what you're doing isn't too aggressive, that you're really focused on those small daily wins will all set you up for the inevitability of you, in my case, missing my morning coffee and not sitting still. Or the other day when I'm on the couch and I realize, shit, I'm going through my phone. This is ulterior to what I set out to do. But the next day is another opportunity and you get back to it.
Yeah. And that brings us full circle to, back to motivation. It's easy to do these things when you're motivated. It's easy when you feel, when you feel that little wind in your sails and, ready to go and this is the time that I'm going to make that change. Like that, that's the easy time to go to the gym or to eat, a salad and chicken. It's easy to go for the run on those days or do your stretching or your meditation, whatever it is. But motivation comes and goes, and you are never going to feel motivated to work out all the time. I mean, be honest with me, Dylan. In your workouts, what percentage of them are you like fired up, like motivated, can't wait to get to the gym?
A third of the time, probably.
A third of the time. That's
Yeah.
I'm 100%. A third of the time I am fired up,
Yeah.
ready to go to the gym. A third of the time I'm pretty neutral about it. And then another third, I just absolutely I don't want to go. I don't want to. And it's so I mean that's the biggest part, right? Is what do you do? What can you do when the motivation's not there?
Yeah. And this is kind of one of the downsides of like this moment in time resolution opportunity is that it does spur motivation in people. And I think when you're most motivated might be the worst time to set a goal, like a grandiose goal or a resolution, because it's going to be so oftentimes way unrealistic, way too big, way too unattainable, just these radical things. I'm super motivated. I want to get in shape this year. I'm going to lose weight and build muscle. And that means I'm going to go to the gym 4 days a week. I'm going to run on my off days. I'm never going to eat a carb. And it's like, dude, that is so unrealistic. And that when you're motivated sounds great, but the discipline required to achieve that over the course of a year, nobody has that. Nobody.
Goggins, well, no, Goggins doesn't even have it. He that's his whole point, right? Is
Yeah.
like just show up and do it no matter what.
Yeah.
And that's where, everything that we've said, like before this, all of those things that you can do, having the positive environment, making your goals trackable and small enough, being patient with yourself, all of those things are going to help you when the motivation's not there.
Yeah.
Because motivation is going to come and go. And the coolest thing is when you start seeing some progress, that motivation comes back around. And it's a
Yeah.
different kind
Mhm.
because now you know that you can do something. You can do this. I might not be where I want to be yet, but I can see myself going there. And then the motivation comes back, but then it's going to get hard again and motivation's not going to be found. So it's just making sure that you've got other things you can rely on, because otherwise you're just way more likely to fail. Now, Dylan, you said something uh, the other day about we mentioned how strength training was the optimal form of exercise, right? But you wanted to amend that. There was something you felt like you needed to clarify.
Yeah, episode 3, we talk about, why strength training is the best form of exercise. Um, First, I want to point out that anybody in the health or fitness space that's telling you that what they have to suggest is the best, they're using words like best. That's something to be a bit wary of, right? This is all super nuanced. So, different exercises for different folks. What we were trying to emphasize there was that in totality, the benefits that strength training offers, we believe to be best for most people, that most people we're talking to would benefit from more strength training in their life. But the best exercise you can do, and this is the best one, I promise, the best, is the one that you're going to stick to, because it's not perfection that we're after here, it's repetition. And you need to be doing something that is sustainable over time. It's the exercise, it's the food you're going to put on your plate that's healthy, that you're actually going to be able to repeat over time, that are going to get you to this ultimate goal. And it was spurred because I was listening to there was a clip with Lane Norton, who's in the wellness space. He's a super science buff. He's deep into the science. He's also a monster with the weights. But he was on Rogan and he was talking through the context of diet. But if we, consider diet and exercise as our two levers for weight loss, he notes that 6 out of 7 people are able to lose a significant amount of weight in their lifetime. So people are really good at losing weight. The problem is weight regain. Within 1 year, 70% of people put all that weight back on. Within 2 years, 85% put it all back on. Within 3 years, 95%. That means weight loss as a goal has a 95% failure rate. We're really good at doing it. We're really bad at keeping it off. So what are the 5% of people who set out to do it and are able to keep it off doing that works so well? They're choosing something that's sustainable. They're not saying, I'm going to cut out sugar altogether and I'm going to work out 4 days a week. They're setting these small daily habits and improvements that they can make in their life that they can repeat over a long period of time, that will ultimately get them to a place that's sustainable and achievable for the rest of their life.
And it's for that. It's to make their lives better. Will they end up looking better because of those changes? Most likely. Are they going to get stronger? Most likely. But the most important thing is that they do it because it's going to make them feel better, and they understand the value in that. So yeah, that is it's huge, man. I absolutely love it. Now let's get to the portion of the show where we have to plug some stuff. Because this is something that we're turning this into a real thing. We're doing this thing. So we need our listeners' help. It's been awesome so far, all the support that we've gotten. And if you really do find value in the stuff that we're saying, send it along. There's got to be someone that that could benefit from some of the stuff that we're saying. So that is the coolest thing that you could do, is just pass along the podcast to friends and family and to people that you want to live happier, healthier lives. But also, we've got a couple things going on in our store right now at thebasictrainer.com.
Yeah, so we got a website. There's a store in there now. Some t-shirts. I put a coffee mug in there with the basic AF branding. It says sip and be still. So if you want to hop on the stillness train with me this year and try to
Love that.
implement more of that into your life, whether it's at your cup of coffee or some other time, it's a fun way to support us. Um, Matt's right. Like, share it, leave a comment, subscribe to the podcast, check it out on YouTube, whatever it is. We got in this to help people that we love, our friends, our family, and we know that, you know, the whole tagline behind this is conversations from ordinary dudes for real people. And most people are real people. So we believe that most people can benefit from what we're sharing here.
Yeah, and we've got one free program on the store right now, thebasictrainer.com. It's called the Basic Home, so that is your starter kit to at-home workouts, just using resistance bands or dumbbells. And then we do have another program for sale, the Basic Muscle, which is an awesome strength training program. So check those out. And now, because you listen to all of that plug promotional stuff that we have to do, now we have a little treat for you. So thanks for staying after the credits. So Dylan, you and I, we've been friends for a long time, and one thing that we have in common is our love for sad, emotional music. That's always been a common thread between you and
Yes.
I. And so naturally, when we're in the gym, our playlists skew a little bit more towards the sad side, and so we thought it'd be fun to build a podcast playlist titled "I Lift to Sad Songs." And so every week we're going to be sharing a couple of our favorite sad weightlifting jams for you to mix into your playlist and let us know what you think. So, Dylan, do you want to kick us off with the inaugural "I Lift to Sad Songs" jam of the week?
Man, that's some pressure.
I'm sorry.
Because there's so many good ones.
Yeah,
For me, it's the ones that start slow and have some crescendo into something epic.
builders.
I think I'm gonna go with There by the Wonder Years
Nice.
as my inaugural I Lift to Sad Songs playlist offering.
I love that. And I'm gonna go with a pop punk classic, one that still gets me feeling some kind of way. It is Only One by Yellow Card. So that's it. That is our first two. So if you guys have other songs that you think we should check out, one, we've probably heard them, but please send them along. We want to know what sad songs you guys listen to.
I think this calls for some merch too, maybe like a bro tank with like I Lift to Sad Songs in cursive on it.
I like that. Oh, I like that.
Yeah, we might have to throw that in the store too.
We'll work on it. All right. Well, thank you guys. We love you all so much. We'll see you next time.